This podcast is brought to you by Infrastructure Masons, uniting builders for the digital future. Looking to turn your innovative idea into the next big thing in digital infrastructure? The iMasons Incubator is here to help you connect with industry leaders, spark awareness, and accelerate your path to success. If your concept can help drive a more sustainable digital future, we want to hear from you. Don't miss this chance to grow, give back, and shape the digital landscape. Email us today at innovation@imasons.org to find out how the iMasons Incubator can help bring your idea to the world.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. My name is Romain Truncheon. I'm the chair of the Innovation Committee. And as with every innovation, we always end up having a little bit of trouble. We're currently just going through a couple of technical difficulties getting our speakers to connect to the screen, but we're going to be working on this and actually get them in a few minutes. In the meantime, I thought it'd be great to go through what this meeting is. We are bringing to you a new format today, which is composed of 10 minutes presentations from different styles of speakers, and you'll see two of them today coming from our our incubator platform. You're going to get to hear from two of the startups that we've embedded into our incubator platform last year. They're going to present to you their own thought leadership. And after that, we're going to get and have the pleasure to be able to ask them a lot of questions. You have at your disposal in this platform a chat feature that will be on the left-hand side. And so the idea is that as we go on, please feel free to present yourself. It's always nice to know who's in chat and where you come from, where you're listening from. And also feel free to actually go and post any other questions you may have for the duration of the call. The call is about 45 minutes to an hour. We have two presentations lined up today. This is a series of 11 we're going to have through the year. They're going to be split in two tracks. One is going to be our incubator companies, and the other one is going to be a broader thought leadership, which our members are going to bring forward. And all of this will be, of course, recorded as it is every time and then published on our podcast for those of you who cannot make it today. And as we're going to go through the discussions and through the different propositions and presentations, then you will get to see a number of things related to innovation. This is not everything we're doing with the committee, and I wanted to bring to you a couple of things. First of all, if you haven't been able to get to the platform and to the meetings that were run on Tuesday last week, this was the last slide of that presentation. I really strongly encourage you to go to our YouTube channel and view the entire discussion. We've had a pleasure of having our new CEO, Siri Quinones, on the call explaining her vision for iMasons and the Innovation Committee in particular, as well as Rudolf Goldensteiner, who gave us the pleasure of explaining what's happening for EMEA and APAC in terms of innovation. And so, of course, what we wanted to do is to bring to you a very clear and very easy way to get engaged with the committee. And so these slides summarize it really, really well. The little QR code, we'll bring it back on the second part of this call today, just to make sure that you're aware on how and what to do. And I'll bring you a bit more thoughts there. We're going to have another look at it as well at some point. There is loads of things that we're going to be doing this year. This is the first public call we're having. Following the members' meetings that we had last year, and then as we can see, loads of working groups, leadership calls, innovation in motions, which is will be happening in Paris on the 17th. Thought leadership, same call as this one with the wider members group on the 24th of February, and so on, and so on, and so on. And you can see on the second hand, this is not everything. iMasons has got a lot to offer, and there is also lots more events happening in the other committees and in the wider iMasons family. So without further ado, I would like to bring on as our first speaker Hector Lancaster, and Hector is part of a company called, founder of a company called SuperSix. He's going to come and talk about supercapacitors. So let's just welcome Hector to the call.
Hi all, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, good afternoon, Hector. Yeah, loud and clear. Thanks very much for coming on the call today.
Thank you, Romain. Yeah, lovely to be here.
Yeah, it's we've had a pleasure of actually meeting at DCD London not that long ago. Where you based? It was a pleasure to see what your company does, and clearly a favorite of the crowds as you've gone through the Dragon's Den features that we've done a couple of times, and the reception was fantastic. This is why we've actually wanted you to be part of our series today, and hopeful that the next 10 minutes will resonate with the audience that we've got on the call today.
Brilliant. Yeah, hopefully so. Okay, I'm going to present my screen. Let me try here. I have not used this platform before, so
you should have a present button at the bottom.
Yeah, I can see it. Let's see if it'll come through. Let me know. Okay, can you see that? All right. Okay, fantastic. So yeah, pleasure to be here. As Roman said, yeah, my name is Dr. Hector Lancaster, co-founder and CEO of SuperSix, and I'd like to start with a quote from Jensen Huang, which is that every single data center in the future will be power limited. So today I'm going to talk to you about supercapacitors and why they offer incredible potential, I believe, to unlock this limitation. But who are we to speak on this? Well, we are not we're not data center experts, but we are supercapacitor experts. And we're at the beginning of our journey to bring next-gen supercapacitors to the market. So we have over 85 years of academic expertise in advanced materials and electrochemical devices, as well as 20 years of scaling up technology and industry. And that's including direct experience of taking supercaps from the bench top to factory trials. We've also raised 1.2 million in funding from some brilliant VCs, and I've had the backing of the Advanced Propulsion Centre in the UK and Shell Startup Engine. So from talking with industry experts, we understand there to be the following existing and emergency challenges surrounding power for short duration power in data centers. So at the heart of it, at the compute level, with new AI workloads, there are challenges around how volatility is handled, and then how this interfaces with the grid. Challenges remain around getting a connection. How big can you get? At what speed can you get it? The quality of that power, and if it's sufficient for the data center, and then local regulations that have to be met. And then when things go wrong with backup power, there's always the challenge of efficiency and PUE, the footprint of it, fire risk, an ever-present challenge, which we've seen, just East London recently, another example of batteries going wrong, maintenance and total cost of ownership. So a range of different challenges across the full data center there. And indeed, if we look to the much discussed NVIDIA 800-volt architecture white paper, we see evidence for future travel. So to share a quote from that, to ensure grid stability and power quality and high density AI factories, energy storage must be strategically deployed at both ends of the electrical architecture. And if we look at one of the figures here on the right, we see that this is from 10 milliseconds up to 15 minutes of storage. So the question is, what technologies are available to service that? Now, there's a lot of information here. I'm going to guide you through it, but a traffic light system around the different technologies. So first to say that batteries are fantastic for energy. So high energy lithium, as labeled here, are fantastic for energy, but their limited power density means that most cannot economically do that top end 15 minutes. And the more you try, the larger, more expensive, and more degrading and less efficient it's going to be. And on the other end of high power, we have EDLCs or supercapacitors, which are wonderful natural technical fit for these types of power fluctuations, but are held back by their energy, meaning that beyond a few tens of seconds, they begin to struggle, but still offering immense potential, especially at the compute side, and indeed are beginning to be deployed there. And then in the middle, you have high power lithium and hybrid capacitors, which is my view that they compromise on the best of each technology and represent the worst of both worlds, really. So the ideal solution is something that operates across the required timescales, has low maintenance, zero fire risk, low total cost of ownership, and a stable supply chain. So like an EDLC plus, a supercapacitor plus. So allow me a brief moment to explain how a supercapacitor works to set the stage for this. So supercapacitors store energy electrostatically at the surface of the electrodes, meaning that when charged, the ions in the electrolyte form a physical electronic double layer, an EDL, at each electrode. And this is in comparison to a battery, in which you then have a chemical reaction, which is kinetically much slower, but allows for further energy to be stored, which gives them their excellent energy density, but is the intrinsic difference of why batteries cannot ever be as fast as a supercapacitor. So these types of characteristics allow for a device that is ultra high power dense, can be charged and discharged on the seconds time scale millions of times, with low to no fire risk, free of critical minerals, wide operating temperatures, and are highly efficient or minimal heat generation. And that allows for a number of functions, including peak shaving, backup power, regenerative capture, and high power bursts. And of particular interest to data centers, with peak shaving is the function that's deployed in AI loads, and for backup power with next gen supercaps, especially being able to be that first line of defense before the secondary power comes in. But energy density is crucial, as beyond 10 seconds or so, current supercaps get too big, too expensive. So we need a way of cramming in as much charge as we can into a given volume of this electrode. And this would allow for longer duration supercaps of the same volume, or conversely, downsizing the supercapacitors for the same duration. And as you can see reflected in option A and option B here. And that's why we're really excited to be a part of this forum, because we are bringing just such a cutting edge innovation to market via proprietary methods for processing commercially available advanced carbons into world-leading energy density electrodes. We at SuperSix, our deep knowledge is how we can engineer electrode materials to optimize for porosity, surface area, and density in order to maximize the energy density, which translates to such an outperformance in the device. So such a tech could unlock a number of things across the data center. Within the compute itself, superior peak shaving, improved power utilization efficiency, and further protection of the power electronics. At the grid interface, supporting peak shaving, therefore allowing for smaller connections and quicker connections, improving the power quality, and to the regulators, showing that you're offering a stable power consumption and an owner of a flexibility asset, so viewed as a sort of good citizen supporting your connection there. And additionally, this asset for flexibility could be used for these emerging grid balancing markets, such as synthetic inertia. And then on the other side, for backup power, next-gen supercaps could improve the PUE because they're much better temperature performance, so less room cooling, reduce the footprint of the room because much more suited to the time frame of operation, eliminating the fire risk crucially, and with zero maintenance, lower total cost of ownership, as well as improved recovery and response time. So really, supercapacitors offer a wide range of potential benefits from across the full picture of a data center. So what is the future of data center power? Well, at SuperSix, we are at one end of a very large picture and recognize that over the next 5 years, all of these stakeholders on the left are going to need to come together, and indeed are already coming together to shape the future of data. And this summer, we are going to be convening leaders to bridge the critical gap for next generation power hardware innovation towards megawatt scale of provision. So we'll be holding that meeting, and if you're interested, please do email info@supersix.uk to keep in the loop. And with that said, I would like to conclude by saying thank you for listening, and that we are actively looking for strategic partners to develop concept studies as well as begin discussions around first pilots. So if that sounds like you, then please do get in touch with me via my email on the screen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Hector, for this very interesting presentation. It's been very impressive so far to see from the very first presentations we've seen you do in front of our members to this one how much you've incorporated of everything you've actually learned from talking to our partners, our members, and actually looking at where your technology can be utilized. I'd love to get into the questions. What we're going to do is we're going to get Priyanka on the call. Priyanka is actually coming from Water from Air, another one of the startups we're actually helping develop and better understand the market. And then what I'll do is at the end of both presentations, we'll bring you back together and have a discussions around innovations and your respective areas. Hector, thank you very much. Hi, Priyanka, how are you? So let's see. We can see you twice on the screen. We can see you twice on the screen, and just for everybody's benefit, you're having a few technical issues. This is why you look like you're there twice, but hopefully we'll be able to see you, hear you, see your presentations, and there shouldn't be too much of a glitch. So yeah, welcome to the presentation today. You're on mute again.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here that I'm here twice.
All right, fantastic. I'm going to bring your presentation to the screen, and then the floor is yours.
Sounds great. Thank you, Romain. All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining and listening to our conversation on Water from Air. I would like to share a little bit about our team. We have come together as a team of mechanical engineers from various industries and backgrounds to create a source of abundant water for all. And we've developed some innovative technology that lowers our energy consumption to produce a liter of water and soon to be tons of water. Along the way, we have met with Romain and infrastructure masons and identified really great partnership with the data center industry. And I'm excited to share how we can support the data center industry today. So as we know, the energy demand is rising while fresh water supplies are shrinking globally. And this is an acute problem in the data center industry as data centers are expanding both in hot and arid and humid regions. But there are limited freshwater sources and they're growing far more limited. Because of that, data center industry is having to shift to dry cooling solutions, which is driving up energy consumption and the need for expensive refrigerant-based coolants. And additionally, what we know is that there's quite a bit of data center heat that is wasted energy right now. There are a few applications of that data center heat in Europe for district heating, but largely that data center heat is being exhausted, and it's pretty difficult and takes a massive amount of power to release that heat from the GPUs. Water is still the most efficient medium to cool those GPUs. So where there is water available, it does lower your power use to use it, but it is growing more regulated. And then the indirect water consumption by power generation is widely unaccounted for. And that's because water is needed to produce power. And while we may shift to drive cooling opportunities and alternatives that have a higher power consumption, that power is still utilizing water to create. So overall, our goal is to lower the amount of peak power used altogether, so that we can lower the amount of water used. So because of that, industrial cooling, we've determined that industrial cooling can be reinvented to reduce cost, to reduce energy consumption and global warming potential at the source, at the GPU. So here's where water from air fits in. We can utilize the waste heat from the data center to power our water generator and enable adiabatic cooling, which will lower the power consumption overall, enable some water use, but be able to be fit and retrofit into the air-cooled chillers that are being installed in new data centers today. For those that don't know, the adiabatic effect is this magic-free effect you can get with water, where if you evaporate water, your overall temperature reduces. So you can pre-chill the warm air that's coming into your coils using that evaporated water and further your cooling. So while an air-cooled chiller might be operating at a low COP at a really high ambient temperature, you can use the evaporative cooler, lower your ambient temperature, and increase your cooler's COP, which means you're running the cooler more efficiently. You're spending less energy to reject that token of heat. So overall, our goal is to take the peak that the data center needs to operate at. This could be a very dry, hot day in the summer, and reduce your overall CapEx need for that peak by providing water storage and water generation to enable that adiabatic cooling and increase that lift that you have from the cooler. And our solution uses a proprietary desiccant and a proprietary geometry for the extraction technology. And it is able to run on data center waste heat. Over the last year, actually working with iMasons, we've worked closer and closer to the data center waste heat rejection temperatures that we're seeing today. I'm really proud to share that we are able to operate within average data center temperatures. And as we work more closely with iMasons and their partners, it's very helpful for us to get real data and case studies from different data centers to see what our performance would look like with the waste heat that the data center is providing and how much heat we can reject for the data center, both through our process and through adiabatic cooling. And the result of our water is this ultra pure PFAS microplastic-free water. So let's say your water is not as valuable with adiabatic because maybe there is a source of wastewater that you can use for adiabatic gray water. You can utilize this water as drinking water, bottled water, and other options, highly controlled industrial water like for manufacturing. And because it's ultra pure, it actually is comparable to distilled water. So it does not have the minerals and other issues that could gunk up a system. obviously it needs to be treated so that it's compatible with the adiabatic pads, but you're really starting from scratch. So you know exactly what's in the water, and you can increase the lifetime of that water and use and recirculate that water more because it is distilled water. And then lastly, we're working to solve this global water scarcity crisis because we're optimized in dry climates. So our optimization is within humidity levels below 40%. So everything I share today is with the goal of producing enough water in a dry climate to support adiabatic cooling at the data center. However, in more humid areas, we will just produce more water. So I have a couple ways that we can integrate our technology into the data center. First of all, we consume waste heat. So through our process, we are rejecting some of that heat just to produce the water. We can take the waste heat from liquid cooling CDUs, mechanical cooling, or even on-site power generation. So we can work along the full spectrum, but really our goal is to get the heat from the source. And then with that pure water, we can route that back to our coolers and open up the opportunity for clean adiabatic cooling. And then another byproduct of our system is dry air. So wherever we're using conventional air cooling, we can condition that air for the data hall. Thank you so much. I think I'm going to share this last slide with my contact information because I have gone over time. But yes, my email is here at priyanka@waterforair.co. And if you're interested in learning more, please send me a note. And I would love to discuss how our application and solution can work with your data center and work on partnerships and pilots from there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Priyanka. It's been fascinating to see, from the idea that may seem ludicrous at first to just say, hey, why don't we use heat to just like take water out of the air and just like in one of its purest forms to just make it happen. And you and I have had a number of discussions around like the technicalities of it, and there is a lot of things that goes into making this happen. But why don't we do this? Let's go through. Let me bring back Hector in a minute on the call, and then we can start unpacking a bit more of your journey, Hector's journey. What you guys are looking for, because the journey is just beginning. So there's a lot more that is to be discovered out there. And then also we'll take some of the questions from the comments if there are any. We'll bring all of that to the forefront. Is that okay with you?
Yep. Thank you, Romain.
All right. All right. You've heard from two of our speakers, Hector and Priyanka, SuperSix and their supercapacitors, Priyanka and harvesting water from air. Before I bring them back, I just wanted to bring you a couple of pieces of information. As I said at the beginning, there's a lot more that the Innovation Committee is doing today. One in particular that is just starting this week are all of the working groups. We've got 3 working groups actually ongoing. One that is the leadership team that defines what problems iMasons should be looking into. One that looks at the AI to grid pathways and the different problems that creates and what solutions we might have to fix them. And the third one, which is our Incubator platform and the related activities, including actually seeing in at first all of the companies that may have a chance of actually becoming part of the actual incubator. So if you want to be part of any of the working groups and or join any of the other activities and have access to the content, please feel free to scan the QR code. I'm just gonna now leave it on the screen in a minute so that you can actually continue scanning it. And just remember that we've got also the number of calls that are coming up. If you want to be part of any of those events, just continue doing the same thing. Go to imasons.org/events, and then any of the public events, you will be able to register on there and actually see what events are coming up and what we're going to be discussing. If you see that on YouTube or you listen to this in any other areas, one of the things that you can do if you're not a member yet is actually go straight away on the iMasons website and actually join, and that way you will be able to see all of those things live, come and ask the questions and so on. All right, on that note, I will stop here and we'll bring back Priyanka and Hector straight away. Priyanka, Hector, welcome back. Thank you very much for those presentations. Very refreshing to see young entrepreneurs, innovators in the space tackling data centers, and there are numerous, let's say, nuclear problems, right? Little things that we need to start thinking about as we start scaling and doing more, and actually, almost like if my memory is good, doubling the amount of capacity on the planet for over the next 3 years, 2 years, 3 years, which is huge. And so I'm glad to see you actually taking a crack at solving some of those things. Why don't we do this to start with, right? Your journey hasn't started just last year when you joined the incubator. You've been at it for a little while. What's the biggest pivots? What's the biggest things that you've changed and adapted and so on to get to the point that you're at today?
I can start if you like, Priyanka. Okay, biggest pivots for us. I mean, SuperSix was founded in the middle of 2024 now. I think the mission was always to take this cutting edge material science and to turn it into something which, find product market fit and go through that journey and scale up. So I guess within that, we set out with this the blessing and the curse of supercapacitors is that they could be used in so many places, but as a small team trying to work out where the best place for that to go first is a challenge. And so perhaps not a pivot, but it's taken a while to try and understand which markets are most suited and most wanting the solutions that we're developing, and for our focus to be honed in on these areas. And I think data centers we didn't set out thinking it's going to be data centers, but where we are right now, data centers is one of a couple of options, which is right up there with where most of our focus is going.
Yeah, I can echo that as well. Echo Hector's sentiment. Data centers and the momentum behind data centers is so strong that it feels like a very compelling industry to partner with right now. And in fact, many people over the last 6 months have asked me, well, are you going to be ready for the wave? And that wave is liquid cooling, and people have projected that liquid cooling will hit the market 2028, and yeah, it's exciting to be part of that momentum. I think part of one of the biggest pivots that this has enabled is a design thinking for us is if we want to integrate with HVAC solutions in data centers, we need to look like HVAC, integrate like HVAC, and be able to be maintained like HVAC. So I think that it has shifted our resources and thinking to making highly low cost solutions with low temperature, low pressure. And that is a differentiator for us when compared to our competitors, is that because we have this strategy of going low cost HVAC parts and ambient pressures, we don't have a lot of the requirements of high temperature vacuum systems that often look very petrochemical-like. And that has enabled us to be more accessible to data centers themselves.
Fantastic. Thanks very much for sharing your journey so far. I guess nobody starts, a journey like this one, and few people told me as I embarked on a similar journey at a different time, you have to be a bit crazy to go and launch your own company and see if it works, right? Well, I'm interested to hear you haven't made. You seem like sensible people. You haven't made that decisions out on a whim. What was the signals that made you believe that there was something there to be fixed and that was actually worth exploring?
I guess for us, we came out of the lab where we were, me and my co-founders, all with expertise in advanced materials and electrochemistry, and there was a desire to, unfortunately, science isn't always aligned with impact, right? And so there was a desire to work out how we get impact from our expertise and the work that we're doing, and the types of materials that we work on can lend themselves to a range of different electrochemical storage. But if you looked at what was happening with supercaps, with batteries, and with fuel cells back when we started in the middle of 2024, it seemed like the point with supercaps was just at the earliest. I mean, they've been around for a while, but where the market position was and the need and the emerging need as we move towards full electrification, like we've been on a journey with storage in which everybody thought batteries were the answer for the past 15 years, and batteries are fantastic. But as we move towards deeper electrification, it's like, oh, there are these other problems too around each end of that on the longer term and the shorter term, and how do we support that? So with the expertise that we had, we thought we had answers to the shorter term, and so that was the point of going, okay, let's see if we can make that happen, and if that's real, and where we can go with it.
Veronica, do you want to show me on this as well?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think where we were at the company 3 years ago, to make abundant fresh water for all, that is a very big vision, especially with the billions and billions of people in the world. However, we found that water is a problem today in communities around the globe. People are using systems like atmospheric water generators. They could be legacy systems that were used 10 years ago or developed 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that are refrigerant based. They can be these like highly advanced vacuum systems that are being deployed in the Middle East. But they're happening. So that is encouraging, and it is encouraging to be ahead of this wave where water scarcity is something that's affecting everyone. So I think that's a lot that's powering us. But along the way, I think the research that we've done in materials and how to lower power consumption, because we move a lot of air around because we're taking the water molecules from the air. Just the learnings and knowledge and R&D we've done in reducing energy consumption, improving geometries of heat exchangers, reactors, the materials themselves, what's the kinetics of the molecules, adhering to the surface of this desiccant materials that we're using for our absorption technology. I think all of those learnings have been very, very interesting, and it's something that you really don't realize that there's going to be so much that is needed to develop when you're thinking about fresh water. But it's been exciting for our team. I personally come from aerospace. A couple other of our engineers come from aerospace and electric vehicles. And it's really exciting for this team to be able to work on technology that does actually get to the consumer of water. So yeah,
it's I find it fascinating to actually be part of of something like iMasons, because you have and are given the capability of actually being part of a wide community, and you're giving the opportunity to meet people that would have been much harder to actually meet. One of the questions that I've got for you is like, out of the entire community, who do you want to go out and meet? Who are the people that you wish you could like interact a bit more, and what would you want the discussions to be? What would you want to talk to about with them?
That's a great question, Romain. Just a note on the community. Like just today, I had a conversation with someone from the iMasons, and they shared insight, which I feel like jumps us on an extra few months with where we're at. And so I guess it's speaking. If I had a time to update my presentation, I might have incorporated some of that learning into it. But I guess there's two things: type of people. It's people who, you know, want to share their knowledge and open that up with us, because we don't speak the language of data centers. We're learning it, but we're at SuperSix, you know, we're experts in supercapacitors. So people that can kind of guide us within their knowledge base of where they see, you know, what the journey looks like from innovation to adoption within this industry, the types of people that you need to speak to. That sort of person, I think that we can go to with an open mind and learn from is very helpful, because it helps us shorten that time from where we are today to actually getting these brilliant technologies into operation. And the other more tangible one, I think, is for us would be probably highest priority at the moment is those involved with integrating supercapacitors into server racks today, with exact knowledge of what's needed, and who can recognize, you know, implicitly that if we're bringing this innovation, that there's a massive benefit to be had, and then to help us in terms of guidance of what does that integration journey look like, and what do we need to show to them to help to go from where we are today to something useful to them.
Nice, thank you, Hector.
Yeah, I mean, I echo a lot of what Hector just said. I think the conversations that we're having with the iMasons community so far moves the needle really quickly for us, where it could be information that we've been searching for a long time, and it's just one magical conversation that gives us the context. It is very difficult for us to find this information online about data centers. A lot of it is just know-how and speak of being in the industry for many years. So those conversations are valuable. The other conversations that we've had with some iMasons community members that have been very supportive have been actual data and case studies. Data from data centers that did make the switch to adiabatic add-ons and are saving energy or shaving peak capex. That helps support our models and helps us give you a number on how many of these units you need to purchase and what's involved to integrate a water from air unit. So real data is extremely valuable and very hard to come by, especially when you're trying to come into the industry from the outside in. So that's very helpful. But overall, just the context and perspective on data centers adopting this water technology is very useful as well.
Cool. One last question for both of you, and then I think it's going to be time to close the call. As I realized, by the way, that my webcam is going on and off, so my apologies for that. Quick question to both of you. Virtual meetings, awesome. enables us to reach out to a lot of people. When is your next conference, a place you're going to be where people can come and find you?
So for us, the next one, I believe in the diary, as we're going to be in Bilbao at the now let me get the right name for it before I
as you can see, we have not rehearsed any other questions.
Energy Tech Summit is where we're going to be. We'll be at the Energy Tech Summit in Bilbao in April. So we'll be there. We'll have a stand, and so please, if you're going to be there, come along, say hello.
And we will be at the Industry Growth Forum in Denver at the end of March. We don't have a conference scheduled sooner than that, but we are open to ideas as well. We were just at the HVAC trade show in Vegas yesterday, actually, and had some conversations with air-cooled cooling product engineers, and that was very helpful. So yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much both for coming in and actually trying with us a new format. Hopefully all of our listeners really enjoy the conversations. Just want to remind everybody that if they fancy actually either coming to all of the talks that we're going to have in the near future, this is the QR code to go into. You'll find in there everything the innovation community does. The wider iMasons has got a number of meetings coming up as well, which are going to be displayed on the website, so you can go and find all of this on there. And of course, if you want to reach out to any of us, so for the innovation committee, very easy to remember, iMasons at innovation@imasons.org. And then Priyanka and Hector actually shared their emails earlier. So really appreciate you coming on the call. On that note, I will end on this. It's a pleasure to have you as part of our cohort, 2025 cohort, actually, and still coming in 2026 talking about what you're doing. We really appreciate you spending the time and explaining what you're up to. And we'll see you very, very soon.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care. See you later. Bye.
Infrastructure Masons is a global, non-profit, professional association of individuals connected and empowered to build a greater digital future for all. If you too want access to networking events, forums, and summits that foster innovation and influence, register now and join the other 6,000 committed participants at imasons.org/membership application.